process mapping, okay, is one of the most, let's say, fundamental techniques of requirement documentation. Let's say, so you understand business process and document business process, and it is always the beginning point for business analysts. Okay, so when you start business requirement analysis, okay, you invariably start with one of the first tools and techniques of understanding requirements and then documenting requirements is process mapping. So it is very important and it is very foundational. Everybody has to understand. Everybody who wants to become the business analyst has to understand, has to know the concept of business process and how business processes are mapped. So, I mean, we've seen the other day at a very high level, 30,000 feet, 60,000 feet, what is business analysis? And we've seen that there are like multiple schools of thoughts, but two leading institutions. One is IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysis, and second, Requirements Engineering Institute. Okay, so these two institutions have defined a standard sort of methodology for business analysis, but their concept, as we as we saw the other day, their concept of business analysis are little different. Okay. Screen is visible, right? So the concept of the business analysis are different in both the cases. Both IIBA and Requirement Engineering Institute. IIBA talks at a very high level. Generally, business analysis is required when organization is going through a change. Okay, so it is moving from, let's say, the current version to a new version, okay, or improved version of anything, okay, within the organization, any initiative. Okay, then business analysis is required. Okay. Whereas Requirement Engineering Institute looks at business analysis in the context of a system. So whenever you want to bring in a system, requirement engineers, and they call business analysts as requirement engineers. Okay, so requirement engineers come into play. Essentially, they understand the system requirements, and that system need not be IT system. So that system could be any system. Okay, as we saw multiple types of systems the other day, right? A metro is a system, a car is a system, human body is a system. So system is essentially a collection of different parts. Okay, they're working together to produce some output. Okay, that is, in a very layman terms, what a system is. Of course, there are refined definitions which are given, but understanding level that any system is a collection of multiple parts. They work together to produce some specific output, and they work collectively. Okay, they complement each other. So organizations also have multiple systems, not just IT systems. Okay, but we are looking at business analysis in the context of IT systems. Okay. So and business analysis is about gathering requirements. Okay. Analyzing them, prioritizing them, documenting them, then giving it to the development team. And once the system comes, you validate, okay, the system against what the requirements were stated. So that is what business analysis is all about. And, obviously you require, so there is a process, there is a methodology for that. And there are tools and techniques, okay, for business analysis. And one of the most important, as I said, very fundamental tools, okay, is process mapping. So here is a brief sort of explanation of process mapping technique. What is the purpose? What is the importance? What is the method? And when to use is what is stated. So as I said, purpose is it's the beginning. Okay. Typically, because when you're implementing an IT system, why are you implementing an IT system? Because you want to
Some purpose.
you want to bring a change, right? You want to improve something. You want to improve uh, the turnaround times of a process. I'll come to this in terms. What is a turnaround time? But turnaround time of the process, productivity. That means how much output the process is, producing. Okay, what is the quality of output? So IT system is being brought in essentially to make changes on these three parameters. The most fundamental. Beyond this, you cannot do anything. You will, improve the productivity of the process. You will improve the quality of the process. You will improve the turnaround time, and fourth, cost. These are the four elements. Okay, that is why you're bringing in IT system. IT system is some way automating the process. Okay, and that's why we are bringing in IT system. And there has to be some benefits. I mean, nobody does it for obviously creating trouble within the process. So there has to be benefits. So when you bring in IT system, the process operates in a certain way in an organization before an IT system is brought. Okay, so that is called as is process. And then when you are bringing in the IT system, the intention of IT system is to improve the process. Okay, so the new process is called to be process. So these are again two simple concepts. What is as is? As is basically, so one of the clients, I mean, we can't take now names of the clients because I want to put this on, YouTube, etc. This particular recording. But one of the clients that we are looking at where we are going to implement a RPA solution. Okay. So they are operating in a certain way now without an RPA solution. They will, after we implement the RPA solution, they will operate in, in certain other way. Okay. Obviously improved way. So there'll be fewer errors, so that means quality will be better, turnaround time would be better. So all those benefits that they will get, productivity will be higher. So they will be moving from as is process to be process. Okay. Once we implement the process, then it becomes as is for future improvement. That's a continuous cycle that we will see in business process improvements. Okay. So the purpose of process mapping is to understand high level as well as detailed level flow, activities and transactions. So you'll get a very good perspective about what is happening, okay, as part of the process, what activities happening, what flow they are taking, what business rules are getting applied, okay. So all these things get documented as part of process mapping, okay. And they become the foundation for your detailed level requirements. So the purpose is, as stated out here, that the purpose is to understand high level as well as detailed level flow, activities, transactions within that flow, what rules, etc. Importance. Okay, now let's look at what are the various. Why business process mapping may be essential. Okay? As I keep saying that it is the most fundamental way, fundamental let's say approach to document requirements. So helps BA identify IT enabled requirements within the system. So once you look at the process, you automatically start understanding, where the errors are happening, why they are happening. If you investigate a little, why they are happening, and once you know the root cause, you can obviously bring in, what changes need to be made, and some of them could be IT enabled. Okay, so some of them could be automated. Okay, so So once you know the business process, okay, um, you will, as a BA, you will be able to identify areas where IT automation can be brought in. Second is helps BA identify performers of activities, transactions to gather requirements. So many times, when we have to go for detailed requirement gathering, okay, obviously you need to approach those people who are doing the business process or who are doing those activities transactions in the current environment. So once you identify the business process, business, as we will see in our next slides, what business processes. So business processes. I mean, I'll not address it now because we'll see it in next slides what a business process is. Okay. But uh, you know, uh, once you document the business processes will have certain activities and transactions. And as part of the business process documentation, it could be either by talking to a few people within the organization, or you can uh, collect some documents within the organization, and maybe start reading those documents. There could be process manuals, operational manuals, user manuals, etc. Understand. SOPs, they're called standard operating procedures, etc. So using them, you can at least start doing basic requirement documentation. So once you do that, you can check with people like who is performing a particular activity. Okay. So those are called performers of activities. And then, if you think that there is an opportunity for automation there, then you can go and understand that activity in depth more. Okay. So you can easily identify performers, um, which helps you approach people and get requirements from. Okay. Then make requirement documentation effective and validate if requirement documentation is complete. So when you start working on the requirement document, you always compare it with business process and see whether you've covered all aspects. Okay. So it kind of becomes a baseline for you to really validate your business requirement documentation, that okay, you've covered everything that you're supposed to cover and gather requirements. So that's why business process mapping is very important. Uh, so as mentioned, how do you go about process mapping? So you first of all gather process information. So you read process manuals, SOPs, user manuals, which I mentioned. Observe process being executed. Sometimes you can visit. So you can go and visit a bank branch. See how customer service requests are being addressed, or there are back offices like financial services companies, like banks or insurance companies. They have branches. Those are called front offices, where customers comes in, and then those requests are taken to their back offices, where there are uh, operations executives are working, and they typically uh, work on those customer service requests. Okay. So you can go there and observe what if there is an existing system that you want to improve. You can go and sit with users and see how they are doing, where they are facing challenges, etc. You can practically see everything also. Yeah. Then interview process, system owners, performers, users, etc. Okay. So every process within the organization has some kind of owner who's given last authority, okay, to take any decision on that process. Okay. So when you're approving claims, you'll find that there is a claims manager. Maybe there is a hierarchy. Okay. So up to certain value of claims, somebody approves them, if it exceeds that value, then the senior person approves, etc. So like that, there are hierarchies also defined, but uh, ultimately there is one owner, okay, who can take the final call. Of course, there are boundary conditions that decide up to what point he can take the decision. So you gather information using these methods. Okay. And then once you gathered process information, you then document process. And there are these, 3 or 4 very common techniques, okay, of documenting requirements. Flowchart, swim lane, and CPOC. Flowchart is, you may know, CPOC and flow, other things we will cover very briefly, either today or later. Okay. And when to use? So fine, I understand, business process mapping is an important technique or tool. But when to use? A critical tool should be the first step of any requirement elicitation exercise. So it's a very, very critical tool, and you have to use it right up front. So when you go into a new organization, you understand first what business process. Now the project that we are going to do, okay, there it is process automation project only. So we have to understand process. But sometimes when you are doing a CRM system, you are doing a accounting system, you still have to understand the process. That is the first step. Okay. So once you understand the process context, then understanding system becomes, even existing system, if there is one, and you're supposed to improve that system, then you'll understand the system much better once you understand the business process. Got it? Why?